Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to have a look at intellectual property. So what you need to know are what the terms copyright mean, what design rights are, what a patent is, what registered design means, what trademarks, and then open designs. So what's available? So all of these things that we just talked about, they are to sort of protect the designer from or inventor or the manufacturer from having their work stolen. So it's a set of legal requirements, and now depending on what type of thing you've designed or you've made, depends on what sort of protection you need. But all of that is there is to protect you as a designer, as a manufacturer. So, registered designs. So this is where designs or inventors have similar products, but they have slightly different features. So, for example, if you take like a smartphone, obviously you can't just copyright the whole idea of a smartphone because there are so many different kinds now. But there are certain parts of the design that you can register. So if you take, say, the iPhone, now what part of that iPhone do you reckon is registered? Now originally it would have been the home button because that was a very unique part of it, along with one of the original iPod where you had like the wheel button to control, like move the controls or the volume. So actually, obviously now they no longer have that. On most smartphones, honestly, are just black rectangles and then you get a case on it. But how do you decipher which design is which and what is the thing they're protective of? So with the iPhone, it is actually the angle of the curves on all of their phones. Okay, so that means that's their specifically is their design. So if you take something like chocolate bar Cadbury's, obviously you can't just copyright the whole idea of chocolate bars, that's mine, I own it, you can't steal it. So there are certain things that you can register. So the shape of the actual chocolate bar pieces with Cadbury's is part of the registered design. Now they do also have something else, but it's covered in another form of protection, but that is obviously the colour purple. So Cadbury's purple is an actual colour that is protected. But that's not covered under registered designs, that's covered under something else we'll go over a little bit later on. What this is particularly, if there is loads and loads of the same type of product, you can't just cover the whole thing and stop everyone else from making it. You'd have to take one particular feature and say, right, fine, we're all going to have the same similar features or similar products, but this particular feature makes mine unique. So copyright and design rights. So copyright, so this is protecting the work of artists and authors. So this can be in music, it can be in film, it can be in literature. So you've probably seen this quite a lot. There are instances, and it happens quite a lot in music every couple of years, where there are copyright claims where like people that have written older songs will claim that more modern pop songs have taken certain melodies and tunes and it's too similar. So it's happened a few times with people like Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber, where lawsuits happen and they'll determine whether you have taken a section and it's been copied. Now obviously within limits, because there are only a certain amount of notes and musical sounds that can be made. So you can't say, for example, right, I don't know nothing about like how music is written, but you can't just take a certain note and go, right, I own this musical note. Anyone that uses that musical note owes me money. That's not how it works. It will be over a certain amount of time, and that collection of notes used in that particular sequence, so that melody, that will then be protected. Now you can allow people to use your copyright if you give them permission. So if they pay you royalties, you are well within your rights to you can sell it. If you own that copyright, I can sit and someone says, oh, I want to cover your song, I want to remake your movie with different cast, I want to do it. That's fine, as long as if I own the copyright, I say, that's fine, but you need to pay me this amount of money. Or you say, okay, that's fine, but then I'll get a certain percentage of the money you'll make from that. Same happens with authors, so books and things like that. So the library at college are very strict on that. That's why there are certain copyright laws in terms of college and resources members of staff and teachers use, so we can't just take whole textbooks and give it you, because otherwise there's no point in anyone buying the actual textbooks. And then you've got design rights. So you've probably seen the copyright symbol before, you may not have seen the design rights before. So this covers drawings of new ideas that can be protected. So basically, if you haven't got the design done, but you haven't got the actual product made, but you've got the designs for it made, you can have design rights, and that can cover that as well. So trademarks. So this is very, very important to major companies. So this covers their whole brand. So a trademark can cover brand name, slogans, logos, certain colours, everything like that. So if you take like McDonald's, and obviously you got the golden arches, that is their logo. And then you got things like I'm loving it, so that is their slogan. So it's the same for all major companies. They'll have their logo, their slogan, their brand name, and that is protected. And if anyone copies that, or if anyone gets anything too similar, they'll be told they have to stop, or they'll be liable in a legal sense. Now, obviously, you do when you like go on holiday and stuff. You find a lot of like knockoff, like watches, sunglasses. So instead of Gucci, it's like Gucci and things like that. That obviously is quite illegal, which is why if the police suddenly like turn up, they'll run away very, very quickly. You do get quite realistic knockoffs. It can be quite worth a lot of money, but it is all if you are caught doing that, you're seen as stealing money from the real company, and then you then can have to pay the damages. Like they can say, right, you selling this, you have then made me lose 2 million, and that's a random number I've just pulled out of my head, but £2 million worth of sales because people have bought your knockoff ones. You can then be forced to pay that money back to the actual company. So you'll then trademarks will be shown. So you have what says TM. So it'll be a little TM above the top right of the either the slogan or the logo, and that's how you know, right, trademarked. So patents. So patents are granted by the state, so that'd be a patent office. So obviously states in America, or it can be counties in England, or a country as a whole. So this is exclusive rights to sell a new invention for a set amount of time. So it can be 20 years, and patents can just expire and they can use it, or you can keep updating it. So in exchange for having your patent, the details of it must be made public. So I'm going to show you Google Patents in a second. If you own a patent, you are then allowed to sell it. So before the 20 years are up, say if I patented a design for something, so how something works, I can then, if someone says, oh, we want to make that now, I can say, there's 10 years left in it. Okay, you can buy that for £10,000, £15,000, whatever it may be. What you can't do, because there are a few rules to it, it must be new and never discussed publicly. So you can't have seen someone discuss something on TV and then you go, oh, I'm going to do that quickly. It must involve an inventive step. So you can't just take an old idea and twist it slightly. It needs to have a brand new way of doing something. It must be capable of being made. So in this instance, what you can't do is suddenly go, I'm going to patent hover cars or flying shoes. How's it been made? Don't know. Because you have to show that it needs to be capable. You can't just like patent a whole idea and not know how it is done. And there is what's called an exclusion list. So there's certain things that you're not allowed to patent, and that can include things like discoveries, math theories, dramatic works, programs or other non-physical products. Those are things that are not allowed to be patented. So the downside of patenting is it can be very, very expensive. So it's likely if you are a designer, you'd have to receive backing from either an existing company or an investor coming to you. However, the risk is then you go to their idea, you give your pitch, you show them your idea, say, all I need X amount of money to patent it, and I'll give you, say, 10%, that sort of thing. The risk is then, because they've got the money, they could just steal your idea before the patent is granted. So what I'm going to show you now, so if you go onto Google Patents, so just go into Google and type in patents, and you will find, here you can search in any kind of thing you'll find, and you will find all sorts of different patents, and it will tell you what it is. It will show you images of how it will work. It will have to show diagrams how the thing is actually possible. It will give you all the information about when it was patented and how long it takes to work, who the inventors are, who owns the patent, so you can download it so you can see it all. But what you cannot do is then just copy it. So I'll give it a little what is claimed. So for this, we've got a tool handle. So this is a tool handle for accepting or holding more tools of different sizes during use. So this is all covered there, and you can type in any type of thing that you would. So and you can search in keywords. And obviously you can't just, I'm going to like patent a chair, it'll have to be a certain type of mechanism or something like that. Excuse me. So if this one, so this is an ergonomic chair, so obviously a particular style of doing it, they'll have their certain designs and they'll have their diagrams to show how it will work. You can see, so this was painted in 1999, then redone in 22, 2003, 2006, 2008. So Inventor is there, you can download it. So it is worth going on to Google Patents and having a search through and seeing what kind of things you can find, because actually there's a lot of very, very interesting patents out there. So a couple of questions for you to answer. So this is on page 150 to 155. Pause the video, go through those answers, and then we'll go through the questions and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, so answer. So what is IP? So IP is intellectual property. So that is something that is owned by the designer, the creator of something. So why do designers need to obtain intellectual property rights? So that is to protect them from people stealing their ideas. So what are copyright, registered design rights, and what's the difference between the two? So copyright is things like media, music, arts, literature, that type of thing. Registered design is particular styles of design. What aspect of product design will be covered by a patent? So that would be how something may work, the construction of it, the manufacture of it. What aspect of a company and the products they use might need trademarked? So this would be the whole brand. So that would be their brand name, their logo, their slogan, any particular colours that they have. Consider products such as a bicycle and make a simple chart showing examples of the type of IP that might apply to various aspects of it. So something like a bike, it might be the mechanism for how the chain works, it might be a design of the frame, it could be a particular seat, it could be any sort of like handlebar design, anything like that. And then what is meant by the term open design, and explain how open design can benefit society. So anyone that's really into their 3D printing, basically open design is where the designs that exist, they're out there, but they are free to use. You can download them and you can either their plans to make them. So there's websites like Thingiverse or How It's Made, those sort of things where you can find the plans or Instructables where you can find the plans for it to make it, and it's completely free. What you can't do is then make money from it. Because it's out there, you've not designed it, the person that designs it put it out. All they ask is that if you do it and you make changes, you upload the changes as well. So basically everyone keep contributing to all of these designs. It's the idea that it'll improve society because everyone keeps contributing to these designs to improve it. What you can't do is then sell it because you don't own it. So that is the end of intellectual property. If you've got any questions, please send me a message either via email or on Teams.